Milwaukee County judge indicted and accused of helping an undocumented immigrant evade federal immigration officials will face trial in December.
Well, this is actually happening. The judge who was arrested for helping an illegal immigrant evade ICE, she will now face trial in December. However, they still need to pick a jury.
Why ask about water bottle stickers?
It's all getting to political beliefs.
Dugan's team wants to ask about that and stickers on cars and laptops too.
That's right. Judge Dugan's defense team wants to ask people about water bottle stickers and bumper car stickers to figure out what your political association is. So we have a lot to dig into with this video. Now, before we start the video, make sure to please like this video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, but it also helps others see the videos as well. And look, we've been covering Judge Hannah Dugan since day one. I want to make sure you guys are getting the most up-to-date, accurate information about this case. Here we go.
Ted, the trial will start this year, but first, that big fight. Both sides are arguing over what questions to ask potential jurors, including whether to ask what stickers are being used to decorate their water bottles and their cars.
Okay, before we talk about the stickers, you have to understand this. Judge Hannah Dugan's defense team is going to have a very hard time picking a jury who's not going to be overly biased, because we have the footage of Judge Hannah Dugan doing what she did in the hallway of the courthouse, but we also have this.
I had him leave out the back door, which I do when the circumstances warrant it. And these are the circumstances that warrant it.
Just a few days ago, new body cam footage came out of Judge Hannah Dugan. We watched all of it in my last video if you want to go check that out. But basically, Judge Hannah Dugan talked about everything that happened in the courtroom, and this was before she was arrested. But if you've watched this footage, I would understand why the defense team would be a little worried you're going to have some biases against her.
Why ask about water bottle stickers?
It's all getting to political beliefs.
Dugan's team wants to ask about that and stickers on cars and laptops too. Federal prosecutors in court say that's not relevant. Dugan's proposed jury questionnaire also would ask about radio talk shows, podcasts, and TV channels they listen to.
I know why the Judge Hannah Dugan defense team wants to know what radio show you're listening to. I'll get to that in a second. But first, when it comes to the bumper stickers or what you have on your water bottle, I'm assuming the defense team doesn't want something like this. If you're overly like a Trump supporter, you can probably tell by looking at this car, or vice versa. If you got like the Bernie stickers, maybe they don't want you too far left-leaning. Again, these are just assumptions. Even the prosecution is saying, why does any of this matter? But to Judge Hannah Dugan's defense team, they're seeing this more as a political thing. They want to make sure they don't get somebody who's too far right-leaning or too far left-leaning that's going to use their political biases to judge Judge Hannah Dugan. But let's get to the radio thing.
The other thing that I mentioned that happened this afternoon, a talk radio guy started to go on about how the feds were investigating me for an incident last week at the courthouse involving an immigrant.
Okay.
An arrest. And it's all lies, but he's stirring the pot.
Okay.
And it's, far right wing. Well, then the radio station up north is connected to it. They picked it up, and then they did an article, and now it's posted on Facebook.
By the way, this is why you should subscribe to my YouTube channel, so I can make sure to give you guys the most accurate updates on stories like this. We know that Judge Hannah Dugan, in this body cam footage that came out just a few days ago, she was referencing and talking about a far-right radio show, so this is why we can make an accurate assumption. Judge Hannah Dugan's defense team doesn't want anyone on the jury who heard the show and they're gonna be like, hey, I know what's going on here, I don't like Judge Hannah Dugan. So this is why we can make the assumption they don't want anybody who heard that radio show or listens to that radio show.
Judge Hannah Dugan's legal team says they're ready.
Ready, Blake, for what will be an incredibly high-stakes and high-profile trial here inside the federal courthouse. The concern now tonight ahead of a trial, finding a jury, especially with the national attention this case has received, and the new video surfacing of the Milwaukee County judge saying she did nothing wrong.
In every single video, I make sure to say this because I don't think people realize how big of a court case this is. It's not just, oh, we're going to arrest a judge and we're going to put her in prison. That's not what's going on here. If Judge Hannah Dugan wins this case, that means every single courthouse in the United States has officially changed. This means that more judges, all the judges, will have more authority in these hallways. They will have a broader jurisdiction to be able to facilitate a public hallway. So when an ICE agent shows up to a hallway, because Judge Hannah Dugan was able to take those ICE agents and move them to the back room or move them out of the way, that means other judges can do this as well. They will have this broader jurisdiction, more authority in these public hallways, which is typically not granted to these judges, because as we see throughout the United States, we have more and more ICE agents going into these public hallways because they have the jurisdiction to be there. If Judge Hannah Dugan wins the case, that's going to change everything.
We're ready for trial.
Judge Hannah Dugan's legal team outside the federal courthouse in Milwaukee Wednesday, moments after U.S. District Judge Lynn Edelman set the December 15th trial date. The high-profile FBI arrest touted by the FBI director, one of the first of its kind under the Trump administration, accusing Dugan of helping an undocumented immigrant who appeared in her courtroom leave through a jury door in an attempt, the feds say, to evade federal immigration agents waiting in the hallway.
So I didn't treat him in terms of calling the case or anything. I didn't treat him any differently. In fact, I shouldn't say I didn't treat him any differently. The interpreter wasn't there, so we weren't going to wait for an interpreter to get a date off the record.
Okay, so all of this comes down to intent. I was trying to figure out what is going to be the best argument for Judge Hannah Dugan, and in that body cam footage, she even says, I didn't treat that man any differently, the illegal immigrant. She just wanted him out of the courtroom because she didn't want to wait for an interpreter. But again, as we know, from the prosecution side, the FBI, the DOJ, they're saying, yeah, that's not what actually happened. The timing of it was way too fishy. The second that the ICE agents were out of the hallway, that's when he was sent around the back door.
It's going to come down to intent and her actions that day. And I think when all of the facts come out, it will establish that she did nothing wrong and that she's innocent.
Dugan herself in a recently released police body cam video.
I did not hide this migrant in the jury room or in my chambers. I had him leave out the back door, which I do when the circumstances warrant it.
So again, even the Judge Hannah Dugan defense team, they are really trying to make sure this is not political. This all comes down to intent. However, I was scratching my head and I'm like, hold on. When Pam Bondi came out and did her very first interview about Judge Hannah Dugan, she really painted a different picture than what we heard from the Judge Hannah Dugan body cam footage. I've played this video before, but now I think things are a little different and we can really get the full context here. Check out this clip real quick.
To want to cooperate. They wanted to cooperate. They were sitting in the courtroom with the state prosecutor. The judge learns that ICE was outside to get the guy because he had been deported in 2013, came back in our country, commits these crimes, charged with committing these crimes, victims in court. Judge finds out. She goes out in the hallway, screams at the immigration officers. She's furious, visibly shaken, upset, sends them off to talk to the chief judge. She comes back in the courtroom, you're not going to believe this, takes the defendant and the defense attorney back in her chambers, takes them out a private exit and tells them to leave.
So again, as you can see, when you watch the Pam Bondi description and then you look at the description of Judge Hannah Dugan, we have a little bit of a conflicting story here. According to Pam Bondi, there was all of the intent in the world of trying to evade ICE agents. According to Judge Hannah Dugan, she said, I didn't treat him any different. I was just waiting for an interpreter. So this is why I really think this trial is really going to be quite the battle in court.
The concern now for both Dugan's team and federal prosecutors is the jury. Prosecutors attempting to exclude any questions about politics from the jury questionnaire.
They don't want us asking about political beliefs, which, how can you not ask about political beliefs in a case like this that is so politically charged?
How is your team, how is Judge Dugan preparing for trial? What will that look like over the next couple of weeks?
We've been preparing nonstop.
How?
We've been meeting, we've been going through evidence, we've been investigating the case. I mean, we are spending so much time on this case, especially because it is very important, not only to this community, but really to the nation.
I want to give a quick reminder that Kash Patel, out of everybody, he was the first person to announce, we just arrested a judge who was helping allegedly assist an illegal immigrant out the back door of a courtroom. So if you are a conservative or a Trump supporter, you probably love this announcement, and you probably cannot stand when judges do things like this, and finally we caught a judge, who's helping out an illegal immigrant. I'm just trying to give you guys the perspective from the defense team. This is why the defense team really wants to make sure when it comes to your political beliefs, where do you lean? How do you feel about certain things? Because let's be honest, if the entire jury, they're all Kash Patel supporters and they love Donald Trump, there's probably a very high chance you already don't like what Judge Hannah Dugan did, and you've probably already seen all of these videos surrounding Judge Hannah Dugan. We literally have so many videos, so much evidence against Judge Hannah Dugan. Many people are already making their assumptions saying, yeah, she's guilty. I can see it in the videos.
So, Matt, today's trial date comes after the judge denied Judge Dugan's request to dismiss this case altogether.
And tonight, Blake, Judge Dugan's legal team says they're still reserving the right to appeal that decision, but said today they want this case to move forward quickly.
This is another key detail I'm actually a little shocked about, and I think this is why it happened. So, if you are unaware, the main judge overseeing this case was trying to figure out, is Judge Hannah Dugan even supposed to move on to this trial? Was she performing her duties, and do we even have to go to trial? It took quite a while to get all the information together, and the judge determined, yeah, you are going to go to trial. There's enough evidence. We have to figure this out. Now, Judge Hannah Dugan's defense team, they did have the opportunity to appeal and say, no, we want to appeal this decision, and we want to give you more evidence to show you Judge Hannah Dugan was operating within her capacity as a judge. Thus, she is protected. And again, this has major consequences. If the judge determined that, yeah, Judge Hannah Dugan was doing what she was supposed to be doing, that alone could have changed the entire United States as far as the judicial system. So what I think is going on here is that I really do think the defense team doesn't want to create this perception that Judge Hannah Dugan is really trying to prove to the world that she did the right thing. But the more you look into it, it looks like this judge is just trying to get out of going to trial. And I think the defense team, again, my opinion, doesn't want a negative perception on Judge Hannah Dugan, considering we have the body cam footage, we have the still footage coming from the courthouse, and we have a lot of other testimonies coming out of this story, to include the actual illegal immigrant who did try to run away from ICE. He got deported. Like, he's not even supposed to be here, and he was found guilty in his own court case. And again, this is another negative connotation against Judge Hannah Dugan. I'm not saying what Judge Hannah Dugan, I'm not saying she's guilty off the bat, she has to go to trial, but what I am saying is there's a lot of room here to have negative connotations against Judge Hannah Dugan and have your biases because of all of the videos and information we have.
That now comes with a federal jury trial and the threat of prison time if convicted. The judge setting that jury date and that trial date to begin December 15th.
All right, political director Matt Smith with us tonight at 5. Thanks, Matt. The undocumented immigrant Dugan is accused of helping Eduardo Flores-Ruiz agreed to be deported after serving prison time for coming into the U.S. illegally. He was in Dugan's court for a domestic violence case involving his roommates. That case is scheduled to go to trial in October.
This right here is another key detail I think is going to be crucial for the Judge Hannah Dugan defense team. How do you feel about illegal immigration? Because the majority of Americans are okay with deporting illegal immigrants. That's across the board. It's like at 66% as I make this video. So when you have an illegal immigrant who's involved in this story, who was found guilty and is not supposed to even be here, according to the court documents and according to the arrest records, I do think that also works against Judge Hannah Dugan. Even if Judge Hannah Dugan did nothing wrong, the fact that an illegal immigrant has something to do with this story, the defense team has to figure out, hey, do you care that an illegal immigrant was involved here and he actually is going to get deported? I think that's another very crucial perspective many people are overlooking, but I don't think the defense team is overlooking it. I really do think they want to make sure whoever they're going to pick either doesn't care that the illegal immigrant was involved here or they don't care in general.
The FBI was not there. ICE was there. I directed them down the hall to the administrative offices. What happened after that is their business. I did not hide this migrant in the jury room or in my chambers. I had him leave out the back door, which I do when the circumstances warrant it.
Okay, so again, Judge Hannah Dugan, she has admitted to all of this, but what it comes down to is the intent. I advise you go to my last video about Judge Hannah Dugan. We really break down what that body cam footage exposes, the good and the bad. In my personal opinion, I think the body cam footage could be used against Judge Hannah Dugan, but either way, I just want to show you guys, Judge Hannah Dugan, she's not denying any of this, but what she is denying is the negative intent, according to the FBI, the prosecution, the DOJ, Pam Bondi, everyone against Judge Hannah Dugan. So make sure to please subscribe to my channel. I will keep you guys up to date with this. Again, we are all in. We've been covering this story since day one, and it's been a rather interesting story, and I really do think it's going to have a major impact throughout the United States, whether or not she wins or loses this case. Thank you guys so much for being here. God bless, and we'll see you all later.